absolutely astonishing.
I think I'm a special one.
Oh, can you believe this? Go, USA!
Go, USA. It never gets old, doesn't it, Rohtas?
Never,
Thank you.
ever.
Thank you.
Turn
Thank
on.
you, Ian Dark. Woo! Oh, as much as we'd like to hear it again, we have to move on with the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the other football on this frigid Sunday afternoon.
Very
frigid day.
Frigid. Holy moly.
In New York City in the Northeast. But we have a great show for you today, airing exclusively only on... wait, we're not on FM anymore, are we?
We are not.
Right. We're on .org. For everyone who's been watching and following the other football, thank you. We are back on .org after an extended stay on FM. So again, one more time, shout out to the Cheap Seats for letting us have their spot.
Mm-hmm. And to Ray and to our pod.
Oh, yeah, of course. But we have a damn show to do, don't we? Okay.
Yes, we do.
So I'm Justin Block. I'm today joined as always by Rohtas Wadera. And we have one more guest today. Just one more.
Hello.
We have Stephen Waltz. He's have you graduated yet?
I have a couple months left.
This
is my year.
Right. But more importantly, I mean, we all know you go to NYU, great. But what's your club affiliation?
So I'm a Guna, as their affection.
Oh,
we need to stop having Arsenal fans on the show.
We have so
We're
many.
everywhere. Just the invasion.
All right.
The red scare.
So I've actually been thinking about this for a long time. Like, how come every single freaking person I know, that especially who I meet in New York City, who loves soccer, you're all Arsenal fans? I don't get it. There are Arsenal fans everywhere, and I had someone explain this to me the other day, and this is why I think there are so many Arsenal fans just around the world, especially new Arsenal fans to the sport. It's because in FIFA, Arsenal's the first team.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
one explanation.
That's terrible.
It's true.
That is so
true.
sad.
It's true. If you actually
Please don't tell me that.
if you go to the Blind Pig on 14th and 3rd, you walk in there.
We just passed it.
I know. Or you go to a Hamlin's
Arsenal
there.
fans leaving, and
If
it's
you
like
go
that
to-
game happened at 11 a.m. What are
you-
you guys doing? If you're still drinking after the game.
Well, it's because Arsenal fans were pumped to beat Middlesbrough, obviously.
Right.
But if you go to either one of those Arsenal bars and you just talk to a random person and be like, yo, how did you become an Arsenal fan? I guarantee at least 1 in 5 will bring up FIFA.
1 in 5.
1 in 5.
That's
I'm going to put it
That's
at
a
1 in
solid
5.
number.
But the 3 of the 5, I would say.
Yes.
Simple explanation.
Is this for you as well? Is this?
This qualifies for me.
Okay.
As well. I mean, Wenger. It's simple response. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
just the quality he brings to the
That's
table.
true.
The structure he gives to a club.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
and
never
the kind
forget.
of players he attracts and the kind of play that he promotes. These are things that someone who appreciates quality play,
Right.
kind of high flowing play, the Premier League equivalent to Barca, then there you have our.
Yeah, this is just why
Free
nobody
flowing.
likes any of you.
Right. That's free
There we
flowing
are.
football.
Because I will be honest with you. When I it came time for me to pick a team to like after much FIFA playing as an American. I didn't pick Arsenal, but I thought about Arsenal, and a lot of my soccer fans, our friend fans, were like, "Yo, Arsenal is the team, man. They're red. That's a cool shirt. They're called the Gunners. Wenger's smart, and above all, you'll be respected if you're an Arsenal fan by other fans." That was what I was told. That if you pick Arsenal, that's the respectable choice because they play sexy football. They have a lot of midfielders.
It's a safe choice.
It's a safe choice. They've grown their squad in an economically prudent and I'd say intelligent way.
Mm-hmm.
So they're cool. They make sense. They're the logical choice for the enlightened college student, I'd say.
Right. For this age group, especially with so many bars
Right.
in this area
But-
of a certain team, especially with Arsenal. There's multiple.
But you're Arsenal. You're Arsenal.
There it is.
You guys are like the hand job of soccer teams. Like flat out.
Oh God.
That's how I feel about it, man.
All right. It's okay. We can get
I'm sticking
heated
to
on
it.
the show.
All
All right, but we gotta
Clearly,
start
you
chopping
don't
it
back
up.
me up on this. You like Manchester United? What do you know?
I'm not gonna like just call them what you just called them. That was a lot.
That was
to
mean.
handle.
That was mean.
I mean, I was just surprised.
So now, while we're operating with these kind of analogies, let's just assign Liverpool and United a kind of one of these in the same ballpark.
Oh, I mean,
So where are we here? To give some reference, because otherwise, it's just a term assigned to a team. I mean, how do we know what that means?
That's a good point.
right. Okay, so I guess if we want to go here, if Arsenal is the hand job of soccer teams, then Liverpool would probably have to be, I don't know, impotent.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm
I don't know if I want to.
I'm done talking for the
I
day.
think we
You
gotta
brought me
get
to a
started.
dark place, Stefan.
Yeah,
I continued. I did not start.
we gotta get started.
All right, do you want to get the show back on track?
Yes, we do.
Rohtas?
A big time.
Okay.
It's about time.
Yeah.
A big time TV deal has gone down over the past week.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the new Premier League TV deal.
between
Yeah.
the Barclays Premier League and is it NBCSN or is it just in England?
No, it's in
England.
England. So I think this is between BT Sport and Sky, I believe.
Ooh. How much a year? 4.3.
4.3 billion
with a B.
Capital B.
4.3, and now that means that's 100 billion more, at least 100. I mean 1 billion. Excuse me, 100. 1 billion more than what the NFL gets a year.
Yeah.
So like we made it.
I mean,
finally, they made it.
If we want to look at it,
The world's most popular sport finally costs the most money. It's
Right.
about time.
So I guess let's compare the EPL to the other sports then, because if you want to think about it, the NBA's new TV deal I think is kicking in 2 years, and the NFL signed theirs recently. So by per season, the NBA will be making $2.6 billion on their TV media rights deal.
Wow.
The NFL makes $3 billion, and as you mentioned, EPL $4.3 billion.
Absurd.
4.3.
I mean,
This is I can't even fathom these dollars anymore. You know, I freaked
It's
out
like
when
with
the
the
NBA deal came out, but like this is just even more mind-blowing.
right? Like imagine some of the contracts that are going to be coming out with players. Like we thought that in baseball when Alex Rodriguez got that contract, it was a big deal, but we haven't even seen the least of it yet with what some of these Premier League players are going to get. Imagine what Cristiano Ronaldo is going to make in a couple of years. What
you mean when United buys him back?
Right. Or when Eden Hazard's he signed a
leaves for
5.5 year
City, or
extension
when he
just
leaves for
this
City.
past week. Right. Hazard signed for 200,000 pounds a week wages and 5.5 year extension. Like those numbers are only going to continue to go up.
We're mentioning only the top clubs, but it's mentioned within the deal. I think whatever economists figured it out. It's a trickle down effect. So it's not exactly a trickle down effect because the top team will be earning. That if you win the Premier League that season, you will get $240 million from the TV deal.
Wow.
The bottom team will be making $152 million. So if you get relegated, that's your golden parachute from the Premier League.
Like,
that's your 152 mil.
Think about who you can go in and buy. You have enough money to, as long as you scout. Now scouting becomes even more important.
Right.
How do you scout talent? How do you develop your youth talent? But it's about looking overseas now and finding more and more. Because more and more foreign players are just going to flock to the Premier League now.
But I mean, I think you want to see something else happen with the TV deal, though.
Well, I think they're twofold. I think looking at this new development. I mean, to start with, just look at the value of franchises generally. So you look at a club like United. I mean, maybe 10 years ago they were probably listed half the value they are today. I mean, they're over $2 billion in value today. So United, City, and Real Madrid have reached the $2 billion mark, as have a bunch of NBA franchises. So. I mean, it's not just the TV rights that have gone up in value. I mean, everything is just exploding. So maybe this is a fair amount. I mean, it's a large number, but to put it in some perspective, I mean, you know, everything is just so expensive in this league. I mean, in La Liga, you know, the numbers are lower. I mean, so talking about that is another topic. But I mean, everything in England has to do with football is just exploding. So, I mean, the ticket prices have gone up much more than the TV rights.
Of course.
So, you know, the clubs, I don't know, the value of the clubs, I imagine, has gone up to it in a similar effect. So maybe the inflation in the TV rights is actually a lagging effect of just an explosion of value in the Premier League generally.
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree.
I think that's spot on. You can also say the same thing about sport worldwide. I think, you know, ever since the NFL when they got their TV deal, you know, 50 years ago, and they're the first league to collectively bargain for their rights. And it's interesting that you mentioned La Liga. Earlier, because La Liga is they're the only top European league right now that has the teams actually go out and fight for their own TV rights, so they don't collectively bargain. So you have Real Madrid and Barcelona making, you know, boatloads off their TV deal, and then you have everyone else down the table struggling to, you know, get on television. And the La Liga president actually commented on this deal, saying how English clubs are going to become the EPL is going to become the NBA of the world. They're going to buy all the talent. We're not going to be able to compete. And well, yeah, it's called international competition.
Yeah, it's because La Liga is with beIN Sport. They made the wrong choice,
and they made the wrong choice to not
Ray Hudson. Too much Ray Hudson.
Exactly.
Honestly, if the deal was just like all Ray Hudson for La Liga, that's what they should really be going after.
Lock him up.
Lock up Ray Hudson, man, because he needs to be calling all the matches.
Because beIN is not. You really have to pay extra for beIN. Like that's NBC Sports, I think, is in a little bit more of a common package than what beIN is in.
Oh, well, yeah, for the United States.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, we that's why every one of the United States loves EPL, or new soccer fans at least, because it's the only European league that's easily accessible week to week.
Exactly.
So okay, we did some little football finance there, some little economics.
That was fun.
Tipping our toe in here.
But now we got to get to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, let's get back to the nitty gritty. Rohtas, what is going to happen with the Premier League top four? Because we're now we're all 25 games in. We've got 13 games left in the season. This is the home stretch. This is it. These next 2 months, that's the season right there. I mean, these are the months where you see teams make that run or they just falter. This is between March and February. I think these are the 2 most important months of the season for a lot of these clubs.
Yeah, and this might be probably the tightest race that we've seen in a while in terms of teams that are playing some of their best football at the moment right now.
The sheer amount of teams, though, competing for top four.
There's about 1, 2, 3. There's 5 teams in it between spots 3 and 6, 3 and 7, and all within 5 points separating them. So it's going to be very interesting. Basically, I think we're not going to focus as much on Chelsea and City because we know that it's a 2-team race at the top of the title. I think it's safe to say that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we've
United sitting at 47 and Liverpool sitting all the way down there at 42. It's going to be with 2 teams. I mean, with all those teams that are playing really, really well at the moment. We basically let's go through and make a case for each one.
Okay, let's go right off the bat.
We might as well.
Rohtas, why is Manchester United finishing top 4?
I think because Van Gaal really doesn't have another option. This team is in debt this year based on not qualifying for the Champions League. They're in millions and millions because they didn't make the Champions League and all the TV money and everything else that goes with that. They brought Van Gaal here to finish top 4, and it's not necessarily going to be the prettiest football. As Sam Allardyce referred to, long ball United.
Yep.
It's not like we're trying to play, the long ball United. It's because we don't necessarily have the players at the back, the English fullbacks and the center backs, and their style of play, and contrasting with Louis van Gaal's Dutch style of play of moving the ball and possessing it. And when we can't possess, and when we don't have success finding runs in behind, you send the ball along, and that's what it's been. And it's done. It's had enough success. Again, against a team like Burnley, we're just better than them. They probably deserve to win the game, but we were just better than them. Those are the types of games that they're going to win down the stretch to finish in the top 4 for me. They've overcome a bunch of injuries. They'll have Michael Carrick back for hopefully the last month of the season. I think they'll score enough goals to win, and they have David De Gea, so that's why I think they're staying top 4.
Stefan, how do you feel about Manchester United and their chances for top 4?
I think, they certainly have quality all across the pitch, as Rohtas says. So any match they go into, if you compare 1-to-1, player to player, they generally are going to win that battle. But I think United's going to have some trouble. I mean, their organization has been very faulty at times. I mean, a lot of, they go out with very different moods, basically. So you see one United 1 week, and the next United you see. I guess it's simply put inconsistency.
Right.
And I think when you look at other teams in the race that we'll get to later, I think they have more positive reasons than negative reasons to finish. So, I mean, there's a lot of upside for some of these teams, especially with the injuries, whereas United, there's no lagging.
They're trending downward a little bit.
So they're going in different directions. I mean, United certainly has the pedigree and,
of course,
the reputation to make it, but it's going to be harder than United fans would.
I feel like with United this season, we know they're boring. We know they play long balls. We know they like the 3 they field 3 at the back. Their midfield isn't that solid. They don't really necessarily have the players that Van Gaal wants, but he's somehow willing them to 3rd in the table. I mean, I've talked to United fans, not only you, Rohtas, but other United fans, and like they're still shocked that you all are in 3rd place this year.
Right.
And it's basically just been David De Gea making incredible saves and really becoming, I think, one of the top keepers in the world finally. And he probably gives Courtois a run for his money in terms of who's the best keeper in the Premiership. So you have Courtois. I mean, you have De Gea sort of holding down the back line for as much as possible. I think United, how many goals have you conceded? 24. So that's not even that bad.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Cities Cities conceded 25. So you guys have defensively, you're not letting in that many goals, even though your defense isn't actually all that good.
Yeah.
But you're just scoring. I think the attacking front 3 of Radamel Falcao, Robin van Persie, and Wayne Rooney,
they're finishers.
That's it. I mean, those are 3 guys who.
That's why they get paid the big bucks.
I mean, yeah, depending on how you feel about them, those are 3 of the top strikers in the world right now. Angel Di Maria, he comes and goes with his injuries, but he'll still be involved in the side.
Seriously.
I think the biggest thing, honestly, this year for United is the fact that you have Louis van Gaal as manager.
It's a very interesting ordeal.
Because if you have David Moyes and let's just put it this way: if you guys have David Moyes right now and you're playing the same style but not getting the same amount of points necessarily, there's a panic button there. And even with United, if you slip up on a few games, you still have Louis van Gaal. I don't think you can underestimate the cachet a great manager has, especially down the stretch. We've seen Wenger pull it out of his butt every single year. Mourinho is Mourinho. So top European managers like Van Gaal just don't, not finish in the top four, or don't, not meet their objectives.
Right.
I think this summer we're going to see some crazy things go down at the club in terms of the ins and outs with United. But the goal right now is just to get this group to the top four, so that you can move on to the next year. And as much as I hate to say, I think United's kind of the safe choice here for they're going to get third or fourth, I think, when it comes down to it.
Yep.
I don't know how you guys don't have any players who anyone is particularly excited about. You're boring, but you'll be there.
It'll work. It'll work out. I think.
Damn United every single time.
Next, Southampton. We've talked about them. How legit are they? Still the best defensive record in the Premier League.
Right.
By a long ways. 4 less goals allowed than Chelsea. So a team, again, the big thing for them is their schedule. And we talked about in the month of May, they've got 3 games in a row where they're playing bottom feeders. And if you're talking about making a late season push, and they don't necessarily have to stay in that 4th spot because, again, there's such a small disparity within the point system. All they have to do is just hang around. And if they can make that late push, they'll be in the discussion, at least. Absolutely be in the discussion, because Commons did a great job there. We've talked about them. They've had a relatively injury-free season as well.
I don't know how that's happened either.
Right?
Like Southampton, I guess, just have the best physiologists or whatever. Like,
they just have a good infrastructure at the club.
they do.
Yeah, they're
That's
providing
very
a
true.
lot of good resources.
Yeah, we've talked on the show a lot about how they've really invested into the academy, back into their training facilities. So it's no surprise, I guess, to see a team as smart as Southampton avoid the injury bug.
Right.
Per se, and they did strengthen some in the transfer window, so they have some depth there. I think it just doesn't feel like they're gonna.
Yeah, it doesn't seem it because it's not the name, and it doesn't seem like they will. But if we had to, if we had to make a case, then it'd be because of who they're playing in May. But other than that,
okay. So really let's look at who they're playing in May. They're playing Sunderland,
Leicester,
Aston Villa, and then they have Man City on the last day of the season.
So I mean, obviously, So those 3 games.
And will Man City even be playing for anything at that point too? Because
you never know.
The gap that Chelsea's extended on them. We can't declare them the winners yet. I think we're gonna have a Chelsea crowning celebration on this show.
Yeah.
Not even a celebration, just a recognition on the show.
Celebration.
But not yet.
Calm yourself.
But all right, let's look at the fixture Southampton still have to play. They still have to play against Liverpool. They still have to play against Chelsea, Tottenham, Everton. So those are some tough teams they have in the stretch run. Do you think they're going to finish top 4, Stefan?
Similar to the United discussion, I think it's not Southampton's to win. It's United's, it's Liverpool's, it's Spurs, and it's Arsenal's to lose.
Yeah.
So I think Tottenham will hang around. They'll have they'll get 3-4 points out of every 3 games, but I don't see them grabbing kind of the chase at the end and taking control and winning these key games against the top clubs. I don't see them going in, getting a marquee win at White Hart Lane or at one of these top clubs and kind of making a strong case. So it would take 1 or 2 or maybe even all 3 of these clubs to have the other clubs to have a serious kind of run into troubles with injuries or just in disorientation. So I don't think it's theirs to win. I'd say.
That's fair enough. I mean, they definitely don't have the name attached to it, and players at these other clubs are thinking like, "I'm a Liverpool player, I'm an Arsenal player. We're supposed to be up here. Let's go get this." Southampton are still the new kids on the block. It'll be interesting though. I do think they will be in it to the last day though. Out of all the clubs, I really still feel strongly about Southampton. I'm starting to like them more as the season's going on. Actually, but let's get to the next club on the list. Who we got?
Arsenal, the Gunners. So
Arsenal.
Yeah, we'll let you get to that, Stefan, because they're sitting in 5th right now, and we have the Sanchez. Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? He's back now, right?
He is.
But you guys are only 1 point off 4th place, 2 points off 3rd place. Where's Arsenal going to finish at the end of the season, Stefan?
I think it's third place is Arsenal's this year. I mean, they have everything coming together at the end. I mean, they have confidence going through well, easily every round.
You're
of
the
that
most positive Arsenal fan we've had on the show yet, because
I'm coming in at a good time. I think the last 2 weeks.
I guess the last two guys we had on, Julian and Rodrigo, they came in when Arsenal was
not doing so hot.
There were some dark
doing
days.
so
okay,
hot.
so you're feeling good now.
I'm feeling great.
All right.
I think with the injuries ending, the worries, Wilshere coming back, Djibushi, so the defense is really getting some depth that it hasn't had all year.
Right.
And then, of course, it goes without saying that Walcott, Ozil, and Alexis Sanchez will and should be the best front three kind of in the last 2 months of the season. If the expectation comes to be true, I think Arsenal is going to be really hard to keep quiet, especially in the last third of a game when, then Arsenal's really looking for goals. I don't think it's going to be easy. With Giroud leading the front and then these, wingers coming through, I think it's going to be tough.
Right, yeah. I think, the biggest thing is having Theo Walcott back. It's such a huge boost for them. That makes them really a very, very dangerous team when he's healthy and playing at a high level. They all, the system that they have in place, we know what they're capable of, and now that they have all the right players in place, this could be their time. We say it again, as long as the guys stay healthy.
But as we know with Arsenal, that usually
That's
never
why.
that usually never
That's
happens.
why we say
We just saw Aaron Ramsey's injured again. He'll be out for however long Aaron Ramsey's normally out for, whatever.
Yeah.
Jack Wilshere is coming back into the side though, so I guess that's a body for body swap.
Right.
But I like that you brought up Ozil and Walcott, because those are two guys who just have not been around really at all this season due to injury. And even Ozil, when he's been an Arsenal player, has kind of underperformed or not really met the expectations of him when he came over from Real Madrid a few years ago. So I think he's a guy that if he finds his boots, you stick him with Alexis Sanchez, who, and for my money, is the best striker in the Premier League, and you put him next to Theo Walcott. I mean, Theo Walcott has pace that I think Arsenal were really missing earlier in the season. Your midfield, as creative and tricky as they are, there aren't really any burners on the side. Ox is there, but now to have Theo Walcott provide that real direct pace down the wing, that makes a huge difference.
Right.
I think still Arsenal rises and falls with the tide of Sanchez, just because we still don't know how Walcott and Ozil are ultimately going to work out. Although they've looked good so far.
I think one kind of thing people, I guess, tend to forget is Ozil is the record signing for Arsenal. I mean, the market determined that he was
40 million pounds or whatever, right?
I think it was 47.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he is more expensive than Alexis. So he lasted at the end of last year. He was the guy at Arsenal. Then he has this injury. Alexis comes in, and all of a sudden it's Alexis' team.
And this is one of the
Wenger was commenting. He's saying Ozil has this huge chip on his shoulder now. I mean, he's supposed to be.
He used to be the best number 10 in the world, allegedly, when he came in from Real Madrid.
Right. It's not that he wasn't good enough for Real. He just got pushed out by team politics. So I mean, he is up there, as far as attacking midfielders, and he has something to prove going forward. So he's somebody to watch in the last couple months of the season. He really should,
and he's put in one or two good performances, scoring. Did he have a brace, I believe, a couple weeks ago?
He's been providing and scoring, so he's reliable.
He's starting to find his footing a little bit. I guess
with Arsenal now, we have some depth in attack and some depth now in midfield. Wenger definitely has a lot of cool options you can come up with in terms of the front six. But do you guys have the support at the back and the support really in midfield at that pivot position to hold down the fort when things get nervy?
I think in the last 6 weeks we've seen serious changes in Arsenal's defense. I mean, is Coquelin coming back getting called back from loan? I mean, and you have Flamini, who's consistently a third option at defensive mid.
Right.
So I just think these pieces are starting to come together. And with Gabriel, this central defender that Arsenal just acquired from Villarreal,
right?
I think everything is kind of falling into place. As long as they, Arsenal could handle 2 or 3 injuries and still kind of maintain some depth and some continuity. So
we'll see.
I'm confident.
Okay, so we have some Arsenal optimism for once on the show. Let's get it. All right, next up we got Spurs, right?
Spurs, yes, a team that has been an enigma.
I feel like, all right, I'm just gonna say it with Spurs. If you just eliminate Harry Kane's goals, they're not in this discussion right now. That's how huge Harry Kane has been for them, and I don't even think he's that talented of a striker.
So you're holding the brakes on Harry Kane. I mean, I think
I'm goals galore.
Goals galore.
You can't argue with the output. You can't argue with it.
And for them to be in this position at this point in the season, it's just for the first time in a long time, Spurs are getting timely goals in big games. The 5-3 win over Chelsea, I mean, that's where we finally saw how good he can be. I mean, he looks very, very good in that game.
But then right back on the tail end of it, you talk about Liverpool beating Tottenham midweek, a game in which Tottenham came into Anfield and really looked the more dominant side, and they lose 3-2.
Right. It's, their season's been very similar to United's season, I think, in terms of defensive issues. And they have really relied on one or two big players. Hugo Lloris has been phenomenal for them this season because, again, their defense hasn't been great. They give up a lot of goals.
They're the only top 8 team to allow more than 30 goals.
Exactly. That's a lot. And Christian Eriksen is really having a MVP-like season.
Transformative season from
carrying the team, 6 game-winning goals this season already.
Man,
so
we got some love for Christian Eriksen today, man. I didn't know we were all this excited about
I think him. He doesn't play much defense, but he's one of the more technically gifted midfielders in the entire world.
And I will forever wonder how he only cost them, £12 million.
Right? They got him at the right time. He's still entering his prime. Man. So, I mean...
Well, he'll just go to City in 2 years. Then.
Right, exactly. So, they can go as far as Eriksen and Kane take them, basically.
Yeah, I'd probably subscribe to that.
And I think that they can do that. The way that they've been playing this season, I don't know why I would stop now.
I'm just going to right off the bat, and this might not be fair, but I'm just going to discount.
You're taking them out of the discussion.
I don't think they're finishing top 4. I think that out of all the teams that we're discussing right now,
Pochettino's got something.
And we still have one more team to go. They're the weakest team out of them. I think Pochettino's turned around this side. He finally has them playing to a style that he was familiar with and that he really implemented at Southampton. So they're playing good, attractive football. I just don't think that – I think they have massive defensive frailties. Even though Lloris has been tremendous for them this season, a real great season from Hugo Lloris. It's Tottenham too.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Tottenham's not finishing top 4. They're not going to do it.
They never do, right?
I think it's
they blew their chance with Bale a few years ago.
That was it, right? I mean, Bale and Kane, there's some similarity here. I mean, these forwards that just get goals, and Bale had to leave because they did not get top 4. So,
right, and that's it.
Here it is. I mean, I think it's as simple as that.
And we still have one more team, Liverpool. I know you're hotter on Liverpool than I am right now.
I think because now it's about having DS back healthy, and their entire team is really starting to, I think, click on all cylinders. I think now that everybody is good to go, I think they get hot. I don't see why, as long they do have a goalkeeper issue, we know that, and the defending is going to be.
Mignolet's look better, man.
Mignolet's look better.
He came out and did a media round this week.
The change of Emre Can. They're putting Emre Can at the back, and now they do have Gerrard injured and Lucas injured. But I think overall, the attacking players are very tough to deal with when they're all working. And who knows? Now that Balotelli scored, all it takes, even though it was
put him and Sturridge up top.
All
together,
it takes
man.
is
We're waiting for that.
All it takes is one, and confidence. The confidence of a striker goes through the roof. So expect some more goals from Balotelli to come.
I think
the
Liverpool
second half of the season.
Liverpool definitely have the style to win it. They have the players who've been here before to win it. Brendan Rodgers is pragmatic as hell, as we all know. So I think this is all adding up to a nice Liverpool stretch run. But I just still think that Rodgers is so caught up on the FA Cup and Europa League that it'll ultimately come at a detriment to Premier League points. We saw him sacrifice 3 points against Everton for a full-strength FA Cup run. And that cost us 2 points right there.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes down to it, Brendan Rodgers is going to be the reason why we're sitting outside the top 4, but maybe contending for a trophy at the end of the year.
Okay.
That's just how I feel about the situation right now. Although I still think between United, Southampton, Arsenal, and Liverpool, this is going to be a crazy, crazy stretch run, guys. Yeah. Who's excited? Woo! Who's excited?
United Arsenal, second to last week of the season.
Right. So I guess
for that top 4 spot, that's going to be the one.
We ran long today, so we're about to sign off. We have some other stuff we need to discuss, like Paul Lambert sacking. We'll get to next week.
Yes.
We'll have a new manager for that. For the who's been sacked yet.
Yes.
And next week we have Liverpool, Southampton to look forward to as well. A battle of top 4 hopefuls for sure. So that's an important fixture. Thank you everyone for watching the other football today. Thank you, Stefan Waltz, for coming on, and thank you, Rohtas, as always. Have a good weekend, guys, and try to stay warm.
This is not just a dream; it's a wet dream of orgasmic proportions. Balotelli, Aguero.